Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be ranking all of the notable mobile gacha game releases from the start of this year to June for 2023. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to channels for you guys. Also, please consider subscribing, it really helps out the channel and we can get those numbers up as high as we can. Anyways, let's keep on going into the video. Quickly before we begin, I'm just going to explain these tiers because I've kind of like changed around the usual kind of, S, A, B, etc, etc. And the reason why I've done this, I feel like when ranking gacha games, that a game could be S for one person or B for another person kind of thing. It really just depends on personal preference. So rather than ranking it based on S, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever, etc., I've instead decided to rank them based off how good of a game they are. And I'm going to explain these rankings right now. So we have the main game. Main game essentially means this is your main game, this is the game you can put hours into, and then it's the main one you play, the most one you put your most amount of time and dedication or money into. That's top tier and then main game. And then you have a secondary game or a second game. A second game is the game you play when you're not playing your main game, basically, in between your stamina refreshes for the main game, etc, etc. And then the maybe don't spend money on this game is a game that you might still be able to find some enjoyment out of if it's your preference, but maybe just don't touch the money side of things and spending things. And then we have trash game and the never played. And that's how we're going to be doing things today. So I have all my games kind of situated down here, and we're just going to get started. So the first game here is Aethergazer. So this game here is not so much it's kind of like a car gacha game, but it's like a racing game with car gacha, and it's a Korean game. It's actually pretty fun. It's a pretty decent racing game if you want a decent racing game. And from what I'm understanding, it was a little bit pay to win with things, but you could definitely still compete because it was still very skill based in terms of the racing. So personally, I had a bit of enjoyment out of this one for a short little while, but I wouldn't put it anything higher than a second kind of game. You're not going to be playing this as your main game unless you're like a die-hard like racing kind of fan. Alrighty, next up after that we have Aethergazer. This is a game I've been playing a lot lately. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going straight into the top tier main game. This is the perfect main game that is really, really good because the content's fun, there's a large variety of it, there's always constant events, new characters coming out, it's a fun game to play. And it respects your time as well, and is decently free-to-play friendly. So it's one of those games where you don't feel like you have to log in for hours every single day, but you can if you choose to, and you don't feel like you're missing out on anything if you don't. So definitely a top-tier game there. This game here is 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿. I'm going to say this right now, just maybe don't spend your money on this game. It's a good tactics game to an extent, but I found some of the monetization and some of the summoning systems and stuff like that just didn't like them. They feel very lent towards if you pay money you're going to get a lot better of an experience. But the game itself can be fun, and if you like the art style, you like the stories and stuff, then you might want to check that one out. But I wouldn't, like, some people could make the argument for it being in the second tier game, but I probably would put it down here. Alrighty, Brown Dust 2. This one I've played very recently. I haven't really spent an enormous amount of time playing it yet, but I would say that this game is probably a top tier second game. If it had more content, it'd be a main game, but it's probably top tier second game. And the reason for that, it just doesn't have quite enough content in the game yet. There's only like, I think there's like 8 story chapters, and there's a couple of different separate game modes. There's not an enormous amount of content. Like, you can very easily clear through most of this game in like a couple weeks, pretty easily, like if even that. But that being said, it's still pretty fun, so I can see the argument for putting it up here in main game, but I would probably still just put it down as a top tier second game. Okay, next up we have 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿. Now this game is an idle game that just has a ton of different content in it. This is probably, if we're talking about idle games on the platform, this is probably the single best idle game if you're going to want to choose to play an anime idle game. And I would personally put this right at the top tier of the second game. There's tons of content in the game. The one issue with putting this in the top tier as a top tier second game is it is a top tier second game in terms of quality, but this game demands your time, a lot of your time. So it can border into not having the qualities of a main game, but taking the same amount of time requirement as a main game. So take this one with a grain of salt. If you have a lot of time, definitely play this in addition to your main game, but do not play this, I would say, as your main game. You can if you really want to, but there are better main games that you better play out there. Alrighty, we then have Harry Potter Magic Awakened. I'm going to put this one straight into the main game. This one's really, really fun. I've been playing this one a bit lately over the past few days. Combat is really fun, graphics are fun, story and characters are decent. There's tons of different deck and build customization you can do with your combat stuff. And overall, just really nice level of quality and polish. There's all these good like multiplayer features and different things you can do if you want to play the game with friends. There's tons of that kind of stuff you can do in the game. And overall, I would say a pretty damn good main game, considering I've been able to put like hours into the game every single day and still have stuff to do after playing those hours. So yeah, actually very extremely play friendly. I've only been playing for like a couple of days and I almost have most of the cards available to me in the game already. Alrighty, next up we have 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿. I would probably say this is another main game. Great visuals, good characters, nice combat, decent story. It's just a very nice main game, but it doesn't quite fit into the top tier, just for the fact of it being some of the character abilities are very just like like they're not like the most interesting characters in terms of combat in the entire world. But the game definitely does have its merits. You do kind of get to the point, the game's biggest issue is it has like a bit of a stamina issue. Pretty bad one actually, so it probably stays there. Okay, we're not even going to talk about this one. This one's pretty obvious. That's just going up in there. It's 𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙬𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿. Like, I don't need to talk about that. We know that's going in a top tier main game slot. Limbus Company. I'm gonna put this into never played. I know a little bit about it, but I've never actually like properly sat down and played this one. I played it for like a few hours, but I don't feel that's enough time for this game. If I was to rate it based off those first couple hours, I'd probably put it somewhere in one of these two, but I just haven't given this one enough time. It's not a bad game, it's just, yeah. Alright, Outer Plane. I would say Outer Plane is a good second tier game. Would I put it on the same level as Brown Dust 2 and Eversoul? You know what? Yeah, I put this one on this level. So yeah, I probably put Outer Plane here. It's made by the Epic 7 team or Smilegate, so it's probably pretty good. So hopefully, this game needs to have a few more things added to it and some other things changed in it over the course of time, and then this game will actually be a really good main game or second tier game to play. Now, a lot of you probably saw Punishing Grey Raven on this list, and we're probably thinking, why is that here? That came out like a few years ago. Well, the PC client released this year, and I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I want to. And I think it's a significant enough of an update, well, not so much an update, a significant enough of a thing for them to release, being a PC client, that it warrants being on this list, and it's going into a top tier main game slot. Like, let's be honest, it's pretty great. The PC client was actually pretty decent. You have to like fiddle around getting a good controls setup going, because the default control setup is not very good, but overall, yeah, pretty decent game. Okay, next up we have Tower of God Great Journey, I think it's called. This game is a trash game. I don't think this time is worth your money. I don't think the game is worth your money. I don't think the game is worth your time. It's just kind of boring, very average. Just there's so many better options you could play. It's just not a good game in my opinion. Yeah, it's a trash game. I don't see this game living more than like another 6 months. It'll probably be dead very, very soon. So just don't even bother. And then we have Valiant Forces 2. This one's also going to go into the never played because I actually haven't played that one, period. But that was a game that came out this year and I wanted to kind of just touch on it. I may be checking it out soon though, so we'll see. It's like a tactics game. But yeah, that's the first half tier list of the year. This isn't every single gacha game. There are ones I haven't missed, but these are just the notable releases I would say for this year that do matter. Anyways guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you guys in my video another time. Bye guys.
After all, Elio didn't put it in the script. Why would it matter? Well,